Hello and welcome to the Essex Boys Murder Case Part 54. Before watching this video, I recommend watching Part 4 on one's on YouTube first, as these videos are all about the key individuals and the murder victims movements on the day of the 6th of December 1995. A quick mention to the Facebook page called The Real Essex Boys Murder Club. If you're interested, please feel free to join, as there's some great people on there with a lot of knowledge on this subject. So this is the sixth and final part of the Steve Nipper Ellis Revelations video, based on if Nipper's dad, Sid, committed the Essex Boys murders. Now I'm going to carry on through the questions and answers video he did on YouTube. Now before I begin part 6, I just want to give you a quick catch up on the early videos I made based on the Steve Nipper Ellis Revelations. In part 1, I looked into the statement from an Alan Grayston and what he said he saw on the 4th of December, which was 2 days before the executions. He saw a suspicious male in a field next to the farm track with a pair of binoculars heading towards a white BMW that was parked at the entrance of the track. In part 2, I looked into the possibility Nipper Ellis could have made the journey from Swanage in Dorset to Rettendon on the 4th of December after attending his local police station, which he had to do on a daily basis due to his bail conditions, and then doing a recce in the Rettendon area, then setting off back to Swanage to pick up his girlfriend at the time from the railway station after she'd finished college for the day. In part 3, 4 and 5, I went through some of the questions and answers interview Nipper did for Bullet Productions on YouTube to see if I could find out if he was lying or telling the truth. I'd just like to say a big thank you to Bullet Productions for allowing me to use their material for this video. It's much appreciated. Also, I am in no way a lie detector expert. I have, however, looked into deceptions by experts during interviews, and I am using their techniques in this video. As this is the last video in the Steve Nipper Ellis Revelations, when I've gone through some more clips of the YouTube video, I will do a summing up at the end on why I think Nipper wanted to make the YouTube video. So the first clip I want you to watch is this one.
So Damon's in the car, or he's in the Range Rover with Pat, Tony and Craig. As you know, Craig was driving, Tony's sitting there, Pat's in the back. They get to the gate where you got all photos. Damon's got out the car. He didn't know my old man was there. My old man knew what was going to happen. My old man had seen him pull up. He was there with my pump action, right? So as Damon's got out to open the gate was padlocked. He's got out to open the gate. He's got pushed aside. My old man come round with a shotgun. Pat's in the back seat. He's seen the shotgun. So as the shotgun's pointed at him, he's gone like that. So the first shot took Pat in the ribs. He screamed like a bitch, right? Now, when you hear a shotgun, it's frigging loud, it's deafening. So you're in the confined space of a Range Rover, yeah? Craig's driving. So the idea was to try and take Craig out straight away because he was driving. But Pat's seen the shotgun come round. Because as Damon got out, Pat went like that. The shotgun's come round. Pat's seen the shotgun, gone like that. He got the last there, so it's bang, bang, bang. Pat got shot. Then he put one in Craig's head, then he put one in Tony's head. They'd frozen. The sound in that Range Rover must have been freaking deafening. So Craig and Tony didn't even know what happened. David dead, one shot in the head. Then he's walked round the back of the Range Rover. Pat's on the window wasn't broke. Pat's like, he's crying, whimpering, whatever he was doing. He got shot in the head through the window. Then walked back round, put another one in Tony, put another one in Craig's. Damon was a freaking mess. He was screaming. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know that my old man. He didn't know he knew my old man, but he didn't know what happened. So, and Damon. And then he's turned into a piece of shit years later. But the reason I never said it,
So, the first thing I want to pick up on in this clip is Nipper Ellis says, so Damon's in the car or he's in the Range Rover with Pat, Tony and Craig. Well, which one is it? Car or in the Range Rover? Did Damon drive up there in his car at some point? The Range Rover turned up and Damon got in. I mean, to me, Nipper's not being specific enough here. He should be describing this part in very fine detail for me, as it is a very important part of his version of events. The second thing is he keeps trying to say is Rettendon Turnpike for some reason. I mean, this is the second time he's tried saying this now in this questions and answer video, as he says it in my last video I made. When I replay this clip, listen to him say, they got to the Rettendon, they got to the gate. I mean, again, he doesn't know which one it is. The third thing I want to pick up on in this clip is Nipper Ellis says to the interviewer, my old man knew what was going to happen. He was wearing my... Then he says, he had my pump action, alright? He says this all in one sentence, and he's doing it again, changing key parts in his version of events at crucial moments. He was wearing my... What does he mean by this? His dad was wearing his what? His coat? His jacket? His balaclava maybe? If Nipper Ellis is telling the truth about his version of events, what was his dad wearing that belonged to Nipper? I mean, he changes quickly by saying, he had my pump action, alright? So, from my dad was wearing my, he's gone to, my dad had my pump action in the same sentence. He's changing the events again at crucial parts of his story. I mean, notice again he uses the word alright at the end of a sentence. He's trying to convince the interviewer to believe him by saying this at the end of sentences. I mean, he did this in my last video. When you're telling a story and you say alright at the end of sentences, it's your way of getting the person you're telling the story to believe you. Now, the fourth thing I want to pick up on in this clip is when Nipper says, so as Damon got out to open the gate was padlocked. He's got out to open the gate. So if Damon gets out of the seat behind Craig Rolfe and leaves the door open, he will be the first one that hears and sees Sid Ellis. He could not have got to the gate because he gets pushed out of the way, according to Nipper. I mean, Damon Alvin didn't get startled. He didn't shout to the others that there's someone here. He just gets pushed out of the way. I mean, the way Nipper is explaining what happened, I don't think Damon Alvin even got to the gate. Realised it was padlocked and came back to the Range Rover, which was about 10 feet away from the 5-bar gate, and then got pushed out of the way. I will explain in a moment why. Before I do, I just want to go through what Nipper says next, which was, "My old man came round with a shotgun." Now, first of all, Nipper should have said, "My old man came round with my shotgun." My shotgun. It is his shotgun. He even says it earlier in this questions and answer video that his dad knew where he hid his guns and went to dig them up. He owns the shotgun. It's his possession. He should have said, "My old man came round with my shotgun." But instead he says, "My old man came round with a shotgun." Big mistake there for me from Nipper. Second of all, he says, "My dad came round." Round from where? You see, in order to push Damon out of the way, when he gets out of the door behind Craig Rolfe, he must have been in the trees on the left-hand side as the Range Rover headed towards the gate. Now this bit doesn't add up. My old man came round. I mean, it would be stupid if he came from the front of the Range Rover, pushed Damon out of the way, then take a shot at Pate, because Tony Tucker and Craig Rolfe would have seen him. And the headlamps would have been on, so Sid Ellis would be in full view of them. So to my point a minute ago about Damon not making it to the gate is because if Nipper is telling the truth here, then he must have come round from the back of the Range Rover. Now the thing is, if Sid was on that side, there's nowhere to hide as the Range Rover came down the track. Another thing is, if he did come from round the back, there would be no reason to push Damon Alvin out of the way. He's already getting out to open the gate. I mean, let him go to the gate that was apparently locked, so he was out of the way, and begin the executions. I mean, you would have no reason to push him out of the way. And to me, whoever did commit these murders came out from the right-hand side where there's bushes to hide in, and when the Range Rover comes to a halt, you can rush up in the open space and aim into the Range Rover. I mean, you don't come around from this side. There's nowhere to come round from. So if you believe Nipper's version of events, his dad must have been on the left-hand side as the Range Rover headed down the track, and when it stopped, he would have passed Pat Tate, ran round the back and pushed Damon out of the way, then begin the executions. I personally think he would have been seen even crouching down on the left-hand side as the Range Rover came down the track. He then goes on to say, Damon was a frigging mess. He was screaming. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know my old man. He didn't know my old. He knew my old man, but didn't know what had happened. I mean, in this bit, there's a lot of strange things to say describing what his dad had just supposedly done. I mean, he starts to say he didn't know my old man. Then he says he didn't know my old. Then says he knew my old man, but didn't know what had happened. I mean, which is it? Did Damon Alvin know who Sid Ellis was or not? I mean, Damon Alvin must have known what had happened because according to Nipper's story here, he witnessed it all. He's just witnessed the executions, but Nipper is clearly saying here that Damon didn't know what had just happened. I mean, big slip-ups here for me. What I will do is replay the clip for you.
Damon's in the car, or he's in the Range Rover with Pat, Tony and Craig. As you know, Craig was driving, Tony's sitting there, Pat's in the back. They get to the gate where you got all photos. Damon's got out the car. He didn't know my old man was there. My old man knew what was going to happen. My old man, to see him pull up, he was there with my pump action, right? So as Damon's got out to open the gate was padlocked. He's got out to open the gate. He's got pushed aside. My old man come round with a shotgun. Pat's in the back seat. He's seen the shotgun. So as the shotgun's pointed at him, he's gone like that. So the first shot took Pat in the ribs. He screamed like a bitch, right? Now, when you hear a shotgun, it's frigging loud. It's deafening. So you're in the confined space of a Range Rover, yeah? Craig's driving. So the idea was to try and take Craig out straight away because he was driving. But Pat's seen the shotgun come round. Because as Damon got out, Pat went like that. The shotgun's come round. Pat's seen the shotgun, gone like that. He got the last there. So it's bang, bang, bang. Pat got shot. Then he put one in Craig's head. Then he put one in Tony's head. They're frozen. The sound in that Range Rover must have been freaking deafening. So Craig and Tony didn't know what happened. They were dead, one shot in the head. Then he's walked round the back of the Range Rover. Pat's on the window wasn't broke. Pat's like, he's crying, whimpering, whatever he was doing. He got shot in the head through the window. Then walked back round, put another one in Tony, put another one in Craig's. Damon was a frigging mess. He was screaming. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know that my old man. He didn't know he knew my old man, but he didn't know what happened. So, and Damon fucked his up, and then he's turned into a piece of shit years later. But
the next clip I want to show you is this one.
And I remember him, of course I remember him phoning me up. He phoned me up and he said, they're dead. I said, oh. He said, Pat, Tony, Craig, got him. I said, what have you done, Dad? And he was telling me, he was laughing. I was like crying, I thought, no, I was going to get nicked. And then I didn't sort of believe him, and I couldn't believe it. But it wasn't until later that night that it was on the radio. All day I had the radio on, listening to the news. And yeah, it said that Tony and Craig had been killed. Like my dad said in the Range Rover in the Brendan Turnpike. And yeah, he did it for me because he knew at the time I was going to. I had a grenade. I thought I was still in my pump, but my old man got the pump because he knew where I buried the guns. Right? And my plan was to get them as they come out of Tony's. I was just going to shoot them in Tony's bush and throw the grenade through the window. But my old man beat to it.
Now, after Nipper tells the interviewer that his dad rang him up, notice his facial expressions when he says, "What have you done, Dad?" Now, notice his lips roll back to the point where they almost disappear. Now, this could be a sign he is lying. Also, watch Nipper begin to touch his face. Now, he touches his nose, then touches his head. These are telltale signs that a person is lying. They do this automatically and don't realise they're doing it. Notice he says they were killed at the Rettendon Range Rover, then quickly changes it to they were killed at the roundabout or the Rettendon Turnpike. And now he's done this a few times during this interview, which I find strange. It's like he doesn't want to say the farm track where they were found. I mean, to me, having watched this clip and noticed his lips being drawn in and him automatically touching his face a couple of times at an important part of his story, I'd say these are deceptions indicated. What I'll do is I'll replay the clip for you.
And I remember him, of course I remember him phoning me up, he said, "They're dead." I said, "Oh." He said, "Back to Tony Craig, got them." I said, "What have you done, Dad?" And he was telling me, he was laughing. I just started crying, I thought, no, he's going to get nicked. And then I didn't sort of, it wasn't I didn't sort of believe him and I couldn't believe it, but it wasn't until later that night that it was on the radio. All day I had the radio on listening to the news. And yeah, it said that Tony Craig had been killed, like my dad said in the Range Rover in the Rettendon Turnpike. And yeah, he did it for me because he knew at the time I was going to get him. I had a grenade. I thought I still had my pump, but my old man got the pump because he knew where I buried the guns. Right? And my plan was to get them as they come out of Tony's. I was just going to shoot them in Tony's bush and throw the grenade through the window. But my old man beat us up.
Now, I do think a telephone conversation took place between them, as it would have been big news to them. Do I think this is what was said during that telephone call? Not for me. I've seen more than one deception indicated during this clip. So what I will do now is give a summing up on the Steve Nipper Ellis Revelations videos I've made. Now, it's convenient that the only person who can corroborate Nipper's version of events, but he doesn't want to tell us his name. His dad has now passed away, so he can't corroborate these version of events. He passed away 4 years ago. Why not come out and say this after 6 months or a year? Why wait 4 years? Bit of a coincidence that Nipper agreed to do an interview just around the time Jack Williams has been released from prison and his defence are trying to get the original conviction overturned at the criminal case reviews. And if he can prove his innocence somehow, Jack Williams will get a very large amount of money if he wins, and Mick Steele can also be released and he can do the same and claim millions. It's just too convenient is the timing of the interview and the stories he's done with the tabloids. Also into the mix, he brings in Damon Alvin. When he says Damon Alvin set up a deal with the Essex boys, and he was in the Range Rover that night when his dad began the executions. I mean, this helps the Ricky Percival case, due to him being in the prison for many years over the shooting of Dean Bushell, when a lot of the evidence points towards Damon Alvin, who was on trial with Ricky Percival, but turned on his longtime friend, saying he had shot Dean Bushell, and Damon Alvin went into the witness protection scheme. If Nipper is telling the truth, then this would have all sorts of implications for Damon Alvin, as he would have to be found and hear his version of events. I mean, this would be a nightmare for Damon Alvin, as he was in the witness protection scheme and still is to this day. He may have to be found and give evidence behind a screen in court. Could he be charged with anything? If so, this could undermine his evidence he gave at the Ricky Percival trial. I mean, Steve Nipper Ellis has timed his revelations just at the right time as well, so he can make money from the tabloids. There's just too many conveniences in his version of events for me, especially the ones I've just mentioned. Just too convenient. I'm in no way a lie detector expert, but I have used techniques by experts when they interview people. I mean, I have gone through these techniques in some of these videos and found parts in the questions and answers interview he did for Bullet Productions where I think he's been telling the truth, and I have also found parts in the questions and answers interview where there were deceptions indicated. So that is it for the Steve Nipper Ellis Revelations videos. It took 6 parts, but I got there in the end and covered everything I wanted to. When I first started part 1 of these videos, there was people who were still undecided if to believe his version of events or not. Hopefully, after seeing these videos, you will have made your mind up now. If you want to see future videos on the Essex Boys, click the subscribe button. So that's it. Until next time, take care.